What's going on, workforce? Happy New Year from Brian and Chris here. Now, Chris over on Gaming Kinda does a full letter deep dive, really kind of focusing on the key aspects of the things that kind of stand out to him, concern him a little bit. So I'm going to definitely point you guys over there. I'll be tagged in this description, but we figured we'd sit down in our typical fashion and discuss, obviously, the mind-blowing reaction and information regarding the future of Square Enix games and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, etc. Chris, Happy New Year, man. I can clearly get, and I hope to God I don't have to defend this as so we have a discussion, but I'm guessing I might end up having to be that guy in this video.
Yeah, so I mean, they touch on a lot of positives. They touch on, you know, an interest in moving into AI for the purpose of like language processing, cloud for both distribution and making things wider available, which is somewhere that gaming has been headed, that we've both been huge proponents of.
Yeah. He even his last year letter was that they're building cloud exclusive games, games that could only be done in the cloud, which nobody has seen what that looks like yet. Like, that does not have a proof of concept yet. So we're 2022, here we go. But anyway.
Yes, but I think the concern focuses on the third paragraph where he defines what NFT and their fascination with it is. And when they get down a little further and they talk about blockchain games and kind of where they think those are going, and the phrase play to earn.
Yeah.
And then pretty much from that point on, it just devolves into, you know, we think that it's really great to have these decentralized spaces, and we should have some decentralized spaces existing inside Square Enix, which is not decentralized, so that people can monetize their gameplay. Because right now, according to them, there is no user-generated content that exists beyond sole individual desire for self-expression. There are no explicit incentives or rewards for creative effort, which is a weird thing for me to even try to say with a straight face on a platform that incentivizes and rewards for what I'm doing literally right now.
Right, exactly.
So
content creation is the content creation is the NFT, you know, essentially where is play to earn is one version of it up to this point. And this is a new avenue for
artists in the space, digital or physical artists, Twitch streamers, YouTubers, Facebook gaming posters. There's a lot of ways to put this out there and either get recognition or get thank yous or get literal money or be eligible for partnership deals, or maybe you get a free copy of a game. Like, there are a lot of ways.
Modders for World of Warcraft, you know, modders for World of Warcraft is another example. You know, so
almost the entirety of Minecraft community is supported by user-generated content. The game itself is very lightweight.
Yeah.
So to say that right now, the problem is that user-generated content can't be rewarded or incentivized without us bringing in a token that we can benefit from. What? Not to mention, like, how do they benefit from that token? Implementation is everything.
Yes.
So if, for example, your 1.0 status is a token, and you can sell that.
Right. Legacy status, right? Imagine if
legacy
that was...
status. You can sell your legacy status.
Right.
Is there a burn rate where there's a piece of that reflects back onto, and there's a couple of terms there that I'm slightly misusing, but is there a piece of that sections off to go support Square Enix? There's a kickback.
Yeah, the kickbacks exist for NFTs, and that's one of the things that a common frustration and fear in this announcement is that people go look at that GIF or that JPEG that someone's selling as an NFT, and they're like, no, you know, I mean, essentially that would equate to exactly what I've got on my shelf as a physical item, but only then converted to digital, you know, as a limited or artificially limited resource. But there is in NFTs exists the possibility for a kickback. So if that legacy status or that cruise chaser, let's use that as a recent like problem within the game itself, you know, became that there was only 500 cruise chasers, and then at the end of the day, they all got bought up, and then you really wanted one. Yes, there would be a kickback to Square Enix on any reselling of that quote unquote digital asset.
Right.
But it is artificial.
They could be bought and sold with Krista, and there was a piece of the Krista that was being funneled off every time. Which if they sold Final Fantasy 14 themed emotes for Twitch as a partnership, that doesn't bother me. If they come out with a new game, this is blockchain quest.
Yeah.
And that's fine. My concern lies in what happens when this starts bleeding into 14. What happens when this is so successful in our new IP that we're making $1 billion a day? So how can we not bring this into Final Fantasy 14? Right. And then something that was built on a foundation of, if you subscribe and buy the current expansion, you have access to all the content. And then we have cosmetic things in addition to that. How does it not start to feel like, no, you have to play to earn? They say this opens up, the phrase they use is this opens up a wide variety of motivations. The only additional motivation this adds is the desire to earn, which, having played at the launch of Diablo 3, that wasn't fun.
The thing about that, which was interesting, because when we start to kind of look at what it ends up doing in terms of microtransactions, that aspect, is it does open up the potential for a new economy that transcends one game and one company. Let's take the, and this is going to put a lot of concern in people listening, but the WoW token. In the WoW token era, it's all, this ecosystem is all within Blizzard. What this essentially would be the implication, depending on how it's instituted, the fact that it can be connected to a decentralized cryptocurrency, Ethereum in this case, would mean that it could actually transcend even the Square-Enix's ecosystem. So you could, in theory, grind out that Diablo stuff, put up, those items for sale, and then go and spend money within the Square-Enix ecosystem or pay your rent and things like that. And that's essentially where this would evolve gaming into, and fundamentally change the relationship and the perceived relationship that players have with games. Like, I think
how's
essentially
this not just more botters.
Oh, it is. Right. Like, how is this not me saying, kids, hey, guess what? What's your after school job? It's grinding up these items in these games because we're going to list those on the market, etc. Like, I have serious concerns. I have also, unfortunately, the concept of, I don't know how this isn't going to be successful, because what ends up happening is, with that incentive, you'll see systems built around it, and those systems will then start to support it, so that even if, like, people are calling for, like, I'm the cynic in me, like, I'm a joyful person and I'm going to play games and continue to play games that I enjoy. I don't see a way that this isn't successful. And I just think that while I don't think it's going to hit 14 tomorrow, I don't see a way that this doesn't impact MMORPGs. And it doesn't mean that it will be all bad. There might actually be some good things that actually trickle in with this, because within any system, it's like, even with the Diablo, auction house system, I knew people who paid their rent with that system. And so that they were actually, like, very happy about it. But fundamentally, when you look at, like, what is your perceived relationship with gaming, if it's to play for fun, if it's to step away from a job and just relax and do something that is either mindless or just different, etc. Like, I don't know how this doesn't become, you got to keep hustling, son. Oh, like, as soon as you're done. Like, I don't know how this doesn't keep somebody glued more to their screen than every time in history. And then also on that same note is that this is more of that bleeding into that FOMO, because all of a sudden,
casual gamers.
Oh yeah.
Somebody who's like, wow, I'm going to be rewarded for my 2 hours. Yes, but I'm going to be rewarded for my 20.
Well, and that's where it's like, if you're listening to me right now,
I'll outpace you. I'll outpace you 10-1.
Chris and I have long been proponents of trying to help you guys get started in content creation. Like, even just recently, we've seen, several of you who have taken up our challenge, have crossed over 1,000 subscribers. And so I'm going to tag some of you guys in the description of this video, by the way. So just congrats, keep hustling. I don't know how this isn't me saying, if you're not doing this, like, if you're not in this space, you're setting yourself up for a disadvantage. And you might be like, Brian, I just want to play games for fun. That's fine. But a content creator is going to have an incredible bigger incentive because they have more time. Somebody who is full-time, who could literally grind out those currencies, and you and your 2-hour off work relationship, like, I have considered that, like, that's where I have serious concerns. Those concerns all equate to the how it is implemented, right? Like, because it could just be something where it's like, okay, we just release these mounts and it's a very benign, but there is a risk in which that, like, I know there's plenty of companies that I don't have good relationships with, that I don't support, but I don't know how they don't jump on this and just profit, like, out of just that fear, just the fear profit. Activision is a good one. Ubisoft's already stepping into it. EA, like, those are the big three that I'm more concerned with. I'm not so much actually concerned with Square Enix, but this is a sign that tells me that if Square Enix is willing to put this in a letter, like, everybody else has already been working on this. Everybody else has already been
surprise loot mechanics is the thing of the past. We
yeah,
got way better.
Yeah,
Now,
you had problems with loot
now
boxes.
We can have our in-house
Remember when we had
blockchain.
problems with loot boxes? Like, remember when loot boxes were the biggest thing to be mad about? Now it's like, how do you even keep up? I don't know. Like, it's.
Do I get a 1099 from square-enix every year?
How is that? How would that be tracked? Like, it would be tracked, I guess.
All these people that think like, oh yeah, government can't figure out how to tax us on our Bitcoin. That is
they will.
Just, yes, that is a lack of a mechanism, not a lack of a desire.
Yeah.
Like that, it will 100% be taxable.
Yeah.
And so, like, now I have to track whether or not I'm making money when I play Final Fantasy.
I think that there's going to be something where then you take that, you turn that into your mortgage payment or something like that. That's when. And then, oh man, imagine being like, well, I can't cash out now because it's the end of the year. I don't want it to fall on 2021 taxes. I wanted
to take a break. yoshi-p told me I could take a break, but then I can't take a break because right now I'm trying to save up to pay for a repair on my car. And so I've got to go run 27 more dungeons.
Right.
Like, how do I want any of this?
Right. I think, though, like, if we're going to be honest about Square in this regards, is that they've got plenty of gacha. Like, they're a company that's got a lot of gacha games. Yeah. I think they've been, like, they've got great games. So I just finished Endwalker. We're going to talk about that in another video. But like, yeah, they've got like good game armor. So that essentially equates, it makes it very hard to have these kind of real conversations. I know somebody will be defending their monetization systems down below. I know somebody will defend this. That is a way that it means more game for them. And that's fine. I'm not judging that individual. But essentially, when you look at, if I just told you about how 14 is monetized without telling you that it was Final Fantasy 14, you would probably have a very bad reaction. You got to buy the game, buy the expansions, pay for the subscriptions, got a cash shop. It's got an additional mobile subscription that you can pay for additional inventory, and you can rent additional inventory each and every month. It's like,
and the back half of every public announcement is a QVC about, buy this new Final Fantasy 14 flower vase, or we now have a logo on this new car.
Yeah. Look at my wall. Like, you can't see it, but I'm gonna grab it because Julie got it for me.
Yeah, we
I'm gonna break you guys now.
It's a heavily monetized game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that monetization is always transactional. It is always, I pay to buy a thing. This is now saying, this is now open-ended. It's not, I pay this much, I get this thing, and then in transaction complete, and I choose whether or not to go and transact a second time. This is, every time you play, you're earning a little bit more. This is the ultimate retention mechanic. This is, it just, like, it takes everything that people don't like about the WoW token and none of the good about the WoW token and just immediately just lets your imagination run endlessly into, why would you ever log out?
Right.
Why would you ever log out?
You're having fun,
I have
right?
to earn my Endwalker token.
You're having fun, right? Yeah. But it's beyond like the subscription, because I think essentially introducing like that to the system, I think from a financial perspective, that's where you actually see the subscription completely go away, because it is about volume. Oh yes, Oh yes. If they introduce NFTs as a core,
all you have to do is say subscription increases my accrual rate. You get 0.1. You get one square penny an hour, and I get 2 square.
But that's still
per hour because I subscribe.
Right. But removing the requirement to be subscribed doesn't like, that's what I would say. Like the requirement for having an optional sub. I think who wouldn't want that, right? But that's where you would see that subscription-based games would be a complete thing of the past. Like we're already seeing it with new MMORPGs, right? Like there's not MMORPGs being released with subscriptions, and somebody was like, Mortal Online 2, they're going to have a subscription and they're not going to have a cash shop. Tell me when that is successful. Like you call me up and I will eat crow when that is all of a sudden the defined, when Mortal Online 2 is dominating. It's just, I just don't see it. I hope to be wrong. That'd be cool. But it's just, I see subscriptions, especially when you have that additional revenue generation. Like you're saying, like, hey, it's generating $1 billion a day. And then all of a sudden 14 becomes such a small thing. I don't see how they don't additionally like change up its monetization system. But I'm not saying tomorrow, but I'm still saying like in some point in the future. And I don't think anybody would actually really stop. I think like maybe one person, 2 people, like maybe the person listening to my words right now would be like, that's it, I'm done. But I think overall you would end up looking at it and it's like, oh, it's huge. It's like more people are playing it,
Just was really disappointed. I was disappointed.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. I think Square Enix has a lot of monetization in play. They do. The mobile app thing is a valid point. It doesn't mean I have to rejoice in it and say, could you do more, please? Like, please, sir, can I have some more? No, I don't want more. I don't. So it's really hard to see this come into play and say, like, well, there's no way of rewarding user-generated content. And yet, like, this video below will say, you guys just posted this for the views. Like, yes, there is. There is an incentive for it already. It exists.
Yeah.
The idea that now people who don't log out and are going to play constantly, which is that's the definition of bot behavior. You think, well, I'll just play 20 hours a day. Great. The guy with 5 bots can now play 100 hours a day.
Right.
So, like, this encourages, if you don't like RMT, if you don't like botted behavior, like, those are the ultimate winners. Yes, you'll win a little bit. Oh, I got enough to order the coffee mug. They're going to crush it.
Yeah.
So, like, this just leads to all sorts of abuse. I don't see any other way.
And the in-game relationship with some of that, where it's like, if you end up slowing down somebody's like, guys, I got to do 15 dungeons in an hour. Otherwise, like, you know, like, you get in that mindset. So there's some real risks here. There's some, like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's like all potentially bad, like with anything that, like, that you might introduce something suck.
Right.
But we don't know. It's all theory.
In trade for YouTube, there's all sorts of content where I learn and I laugh and I smile. What do I get in trade for this? Right? So, like, what do me as a user for this system being in? Does the game guaranteed have 3 more dungeons per patch? Like, what do I get? I understand how it benefits shareholders. How does it benefit the player?
I don't know. I mean, and the only way to find out is with time, and the only way to find out is with experimentation, and that's why I think that you'll see that blockchain fantasy game being produced and made, and essentially as trial and error, because I don't think that would jeopardize the goodwill within 14 until they had, like, okay, here's the model. Here's the model. We've tried it out. We've tested it. And yeah, it's gonna, this is gonna be kind of a bummer here, but overall here, it's gonna benefit, this, and they'll sell it like that, right? Like yoshi-p, like, if he ever is forced or says, hey, like, this is actually the model, because all of a sudden that means that we can go from 30 million players to 300 million players, and we get all these new servers, and we get all this stuff, we add all this new content. And guess what? Like, the subscription fee is gone, but it's optional, and this is going to and here's what you're going to get for it. Like, it'll be sold in that way. That's just how it is. But we don't even know what we don't know, because it's all theoretical. It's all, like, the current market right now is all speculative. It's all speculative.
Yeah, he talks about that.
With the assumption that it's like, yeah. So yeah,
I see a lot of way people lose. I see people who then feel like they need to spend thousands of dollars accelerating this currency, buying this currency, and then the game goes offline and they feel like they were lied to, and their thousands of dollars is just gone because this currency's in-house or whatever. Like, I see lots of ways people lose. I struggle to see what moves us forward in the same way as the paragraphs here that talk about cloud gaming and what that does to open it up to more places and open it up to more better distribution. I see, AI talking about better world design and more language adaptation. Can you imagine if we could just suddenly bring on voice acting for every language because there was AI? And yeah, it's not as good as the voice acted stuff, but, like, it supports everybody. Like, I see tons of benefit there. So this whole thing, half of this is good news, and the other half is just, we're going to monetize this to the nines, and it's just takes surprise loot mechanics and makes those
a thing of the past.
Child's play.
Yeah. Like, oh, somebody was like, oh, you thought loot boxes were bad. It's always kind of the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And I was like, well, I mean, they can get rid of the loot boxes, but they're gonna find a way to replace that. And then essentially back to my point about how economic systems work is that as they get solidified, EA is not going to be comfortable with reporting to the board that they didn't make their $800 million on FIFA this year. They're going to find ways to support that, to incentivize that, etc.
Well, how dumb would you look if Square Enix was making $800 million and you weren't doing the same thing?
Yeah. Right.
You have to follow them.
That's why
you do need to follow them.
That's why I don't see this not as being something that doesn't get into everything. Like, I can't call it bad news, but I definitely won't call it good news, because we don't know what the benefit, like, if there is, the only way to find out is we have to unfortunately go through this way. I can't stop it. I don't think anybody thinks that they're gonna stop it. I just don't believe them, because I just have seen time and time again, like this is kind of the mandate. This is the mandate from Square Enix, and I think it's gonna, over time, whatever that length of time is. I mean, we could not see it happen in 14 for 5 years or 10 years, but yoshi-p talked about a whole new 10-year plan that he's wanting to share with us pretty soon. I don't know if he's going to mention NFTs, and if he does, I think people who say they're going to quit, maybe they do. Like, I don't have a lot of faith in that. Maybe.
I think the story for 6-1 would have to be bad to go with it, right? Good game.
If good game armor,
a bad game doing a bad thing.
Yeah, easy. It's like, all right,
easy
I'm done.
To quit.
Yeah,
a good thing doing good things, easy to support.
Yeah.
What happens when you have one and not the other? Will you support a bad game doing good things, and will you support
a good game doing bad things? That's what we'll find out. So you guys can let us know, like, where you stand on this discussion. Thank you, Chris, for kind of weighing in. Go check out the Gaming Kinda video. I put up a little interesting piece of this as well over on Ginger Prime. So if you guys are interested, I have an intro that I think hopefully you guys enjoy, a little time into it. So, Chris, you want to take us out?
Yeah, Brian and I started a new stream schedule today. My upload is in and out all day, so we are recording while I have it. And so hopefully that will begin tomorrow. I will be live 9 a.m. Until hopefully like 4 p.m. every day, Monday through Thursday. Brian will be taking over Fridays. So more streaming hours, and the Omni race for 90 continues.
Here we go, guys. All right, thanks for being here. Hopefully you guys have a good one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like, favorite, subscribe, and share if you did, and we will see you next time.